Islam, Hibu, Haq, Salam, Huriyatun wa Adl. That's Arabic for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I greet thee. Vadi Makum. That's Moorish Latin for come with me as we travel on the level of time in search of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in order to ultimately complete the great alchemical work of self-perfection and self-deification, raising our flesh into divine flesh and raising our spirit into perfected spirit in order to more completely and more perfectly manifest the will of the Most High in this temporal and imperfect carnal world created by the false god Demiurge. My name is Khalid Amin Rabe, and I welcome you to the university. I firstly want to thank everyone who subscribed to my channel, everyone who's tuned into this vibration, everyone who is journeying in search of more knowledge, and everyone who has the future of the Moorish nation in mind. Because we are out here, we're doing little things, we're working on our finances, working on our mind, working on our spirit and stuff like that. But the end goal of the resurrected Moorish nation has to always be in mind, because like many people have said and like many people have felt, we might not see it in our lifetime. Likely we won't see it in our lifetime. It took like 500 years for the Moors to fall as low as they have. So you think we'll rise in a couple generations? No, this is a long-term kind of thing. So even when you're working on your finances, even when you're raising your kids properly, even when you're working on your spirit and stuff like that, you're studying, publishing your books, and whatever else you're doing for the nation, that stuff is long-term. That's for the babies. So this channel is really dedicated to the babies. I mean, it's so cool to be able to put out knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in an immortal form, like a video or like a book or whatever, because even if it falls on deaf ears, as it mostly will, for the people who are currently alive, the babies are going to get it and they're going to run with it. So this tape is dedicated to the babies. I also want to shout out Blackbeard Mirage, which is, I'm definitely a member of the Mirage battle fleet. I support him, I support his vision, and I'm down with him 100%. So in some of my future tapes, and even in this tape, I'm going to be referencing one of his tapes. It'll be in the description box. But if you like my frequency, then you will definitely like Blackbeard's frequency, because I'm actually doing a side work that complements his work in a really cool kind of way. That's only possible with the internet. So shout out to Blackbeard Mirage, shout out to the Mirage Universe, the Mirage Battle Fleet, etc., etc., etc. On this tape, as you might have seen in the title, we're actually going to be going over 4 presets and 4 codes of the Moorish Magi. Because we talk a lot about the Moorish Magi, what this is, who he is, and how he thinks. Noble Drew Ali is famous for having said, "Go back to that state of mind of your ancient mothers and fathers." Another one of his quotes, he says, "If I could just get you Moorish thinking again, you could solve your own problems. You could fix the nation on your own if you would just start thinking again." That is, really thinking, not just having thoughts occur to you and following them or not, but really thinking, using the power of your divine mind to its full potential. So this tape is going to give you like 4 presets of the Magi to guide you in your thinking process and ultimately guide you to complete the great work. Because I have said, and I want to be famous for having said, that the Moorish nation will only rise by the will of its Moorish Magi who have attained the degree of adept. Meaning that they're really into the divine science. They're taking it and they're using those principles, not just in a theoretical armchair occultist kind of way, but using those principles actively to rebuild the nation and structure institutions based on divine principles. The same way that the Moors of ancient days would build a pyramid complex based on divine science and sacred geometry, etc. We're building schools based on sacred geometry, so to speak. We're building temples based on sacred geometry. We're educating our kids based on sacred geometry. We're building our finances based on sacred geometry, etc. You know? So I just want to kind of briefly explain the setup. We have the two books that are definitely fundamental for any Moorish Magi, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, prepared by the Noble Jurali. Also notice that the circle 7 is actually the divine, it's the number, or it's the symbol, I should say, of God in man. You have the 7 divine principles, or the 7 planets, the 7 chakras, and you have the circle, which is that which never dies in man, which is the spirit, but also you have the 12 astrological houses and the 12 astrological signs, the 12 personalities of the divine man as well, guided by the 7, which is the divine principle. So just brief aside, and also you have the mysteries of the silent brotherhood, which are higher degrees dealing with the Christhood degree, and actually the sort of initiations that Yehoshua ben Yosef actually involved himself in to earn the illustrious title of Christ. Because Christ is not a single person. Christ is actually a principle inside of you. Christ is a degree that you attain in your initiation as a Magi. And you got to sacrifice a lot of things. So you'll find that in the mysteries of the silent brotherhood. I've also, on my channel, I actually will have a lot of different playlists on my channel that you can use to reference, because that's what I reference. That's what I reference when I'm doing tapes and when I'm in my divine thought process, so you can have my resources, see like under the hood of the Stranger Lies, etc. We also have the two symbols, silence and lux, or light. We have the symbol of the sun, the astrological symbol of the sun, the divine principle, the 360 degree circle, that which doesn't begin, doesn't end, but just is, the divine spirit, and the point of manifestation in the center, or his divine intention. And on the far right, we have, because symbols are very important, and that's kind of how I work. On the far right, we have, of course, we have the Hex Alpha, which is actually the symbol of the far off path. It's actually the symbol of the Magi's quest, if you will. You have the upward pointing triangle taking you back to divinity, and you have the downward pointing triangle manifesting the will of the divinity within yourself on physical earth. And on the far right, of course, you have the pyramid. Inside the pyramid, it's probably very blurry on the screen, but we have 3 other principles that says silent tongue, attentive ear, faithful heart, and lux, or light. And then, of course, we have the eye and the capstone, from whence this message is actually delivered unto you. So we're going to be covering today 4 principles of the ancient Magi. And to start it off, I'm going to be reading from a book titled To Know, Dare, Will, and Keep Silent. Vide, Aude, Volle, Tasse. Prepared by Lucien Black. That is Lucien Black. I'm just going to be reading the introduction, and then I'll be going into some other things. Throughout the ages, there have existed secret societies around the world in various civilizations that were comprised of prominently powerful people. Such organizations were home to profound esoteric knowledge reserved only for priests, priestesses, healers, mystics, magicians, and sorcerers. These magi were skilled in the craft of healing, foretelling the future, conjuring spirits, altering reality, and high levels of magic. Though their beliefs and methodologies varied from sect to sect, they all utilized natural forces, energy, influence, mind power, and pure intent to alter and manifest reality. These magi possessed a secret knowledge that was held in high regard and protected with extreme caution. It was not given freely, and one must, to obtain this knowledge, spend years as an initiate into the sacred esoteric sciences to earn access to this knowledge. As initiates became adept in the secret science, improved their skills of attaining results in the craft, they were admitted to even higher and greater secrets within their secret society. So in this beginning, we're basically going over some of the history of the Moors, because all of these secret societies that they're talking about were societies of the Moors. So you have the pyramid complexes in Yucatan, Mexico, as well as the pyramid complexes over in Egypt. Before that, you have the societies of Atlantis and Lemuria, when we were dealing more in the spirit realm and less in the physical realm, even. And even throughout the ages, I mean, you have the Sufi sect, which is the esoteric branch of the Muslims or the Muslims over in the so-called Far East. And basically, we've always been dealing with high science. That is our culture. Our culture is magic and mysticism because we're primarily spiritual beings just having a physical experience. Not altogether willingly, I might add, because a lot of those high sciences, what they'll call high magic, is actually dealing with the study of how to leave and transcend this plane, to deify yourself while you're on this plane, and ultimately leave and go back home to the higher realm where we came from. But while we're here, we're going to be the masters and the gods of it. Basically, is how our ancestors were thinking. So all the secret societies and things that this brother is talking about, he's talking about the culture of our ancestors, the culture of the Magi. And now I'm going to briefly introduce the 4 principles, which in Latin are vide, aude, volle, tace, or to know, to dare, to will, and to keep silent, which is the code of the Moorish Magi, the code of the silent brotherhood of the West, of Amexem. One of Blackbeard's tapes, which I'm actually going to reference in the description box because it's very important. He covers some very important practical esoteric secrets. But in one of these tapes, he talks about the silent brotherhood in America. How, of course, we can't really link up and build our temples like we want. We can't really build the pyramids like we want. We're not really in that position. If we have some lodges, they're going to be infiltrated. Europeans are going to be spying on us. Government agencies are going to be trying to shut us down, etc., steal our secrets, assassinate our members, and stuff like that. So our brotherhood is going to be much more covert, much more silent, much more secretive. It's going to be basically a bunch of Moors attuning themselves to the same Magi frequency, to the same thought pattern, so that at this point we can basically know what each ones are doing without necessarily having to go back and forth. So we're coming into the age of Aquarius, into the age of the new Magi class, and that's why I'm even releasing this knowledge, because one of the keys and one of the principles is to keep silent. Jesus says, or Yehoshua says, don't throw pearls before swine. Don't profane your high science by giving it to those who are unworthy. But in this day, Moors, this is our birthright. We have a divine birthright, which is this high science, and we have a natural or a political birthright, which is basically the planet, etc. So I'm participating at this point in restoring as much as I can. I'm still learning myself, but it's restoring as much as I can to the Moors their divine birthright, giving them the resources, pointing them in the direction, guiding them to their own inner self, which is actually going to do the initiation. Because initiation only means to begin something. It means to start on the great work. So you'll initiate yourself. You'll decide whether you're in or out. But you have to have the fundamental principles, which I'm saying are these 4. This is the ancient code of the Moorish Magi. Nobody gets inside the temple unless they can discipline themselves to follow these 4 principles, which, again, are vide, aude, volle, tace in Moorish Latin, or in English, to know, to dare, to will, and to keep silent. So I'm going to read this short portion that he's prepared, and then I'll actually go into a composition that I've prepared myself, okay? Vide, aude, volle, tace is the Latin term for the age-old maxim, to know, to dare, to will, and to keep silent. VAVT is an ancient creed of the Magi. What was once called high magic was privy to the priesthood, the magus, and the elect few only. The elect were initiated into the secret societies, and thereby proven worthy and well qualified to attain the secrets and hidden knowledge of the sacred sciences. Today, as it was even then, few are found worthy to attain the real secrets of the sacred science. But that unworthiness is going to be usually Europeans, because you guys, it's in your blood. It's your destiny. Usually, in some books that I've read, they're talking about European adepts having to study many lifetimes in order to get to a high degree. Whereas when I was talking to an initiated Morris, I asked her, hey, in some of the books that I read, it said that I'm going to have to go many, many lifetimes in order to get my initiation. And she said, no, that's your birthright. You are an adept when you're born. You just have to kind of bring it out and kind of recall, but you're an adept already. It's in your genes, it's in your DNA, etc. So, again, and I'm going to say it one more time. I'm going to go on, excuse me. It has long been validated that the most profound truth can be given to the masses, but they will be unable to receive its light until they are ready. The same holds true even today, that when one is ready, the light will come unto them. Until one is ready to receive the light, they will remain in the darkness. Today, the potential for the light to shine upon the minds of the masses is far greater than ever before, meaning you Moors are ready for it now. However, for the light to shine into the souls of all, we must redirect our focus on what is important. We know from experience that there is more to a fulfilled life than the material world. And again, reference the Yaldabaoth information. This material world is entirely illusory. It is, it's a prison. It's bullshit. And basically, the whole goal of getting into these Magi sciences is to be able to compete with the powers of matter, which are currently afflicting our spirit at every turn. So I'm just going to go on. To assist and secure successful operations in the sacred science of manifesting our will, the maxim to know, to dare, to will, and to keep silent should be your sacred creed, upon which you strongly adhere. Therefore shall we, in a clear and straightforward approach, address each of the four components, demystifying the mysteries for all to bear the light of truth. Islam. So this is a European author, but remember, the European authors, they are studying our science. They are more into our science than we are. Some of them are better qualified to be considered Moors than we are. In some of Blackbeard's tapes, he actually talks about how the Jews, they have a stolen culture of Judaism, which is actually the culture of the Moors, but because they've been practicing and perfecting it for so long, they are actually living in this world as Moors, while we're living in this world as slaves on that Negro, black, and colored shit. So the same way with these Magi sciences, you got adepts, like high-level European Moors. I don't want to drop no names because there's so many of them who are dealing with our science at such a complex level that it would boggle our mind. But luckily for us, it's in our genes, so we don't have to go through all those rituals and stuff like that. Once we knock ourselves over the head and wake up to who we are, then we can start manifesting pure and proper light. So I'm going to read one more, and this is actually going to be a two-part video, excuse me, because I actually have quite a bit to read. I have a long essay that I've actually composed dealing in detail with each of those principles. But I'm just going to read you a little bit an introduction to the essay, and then I'll go into the other video. Introduction to the essay, excuse me, will be dealing with your personal initiation, your personal going before your higher self, etc. Before all things, I give recognition and praise to the One, the Most High, the Supreme. I can attest personally that the Lord keeps His covenants and respects the heartfelt petitions of His subjects. Were it any other way, I, Elias Kim, would not be here to pen this treatise, expounding upon the revelations shown to me in my year or so of ardent travel in search of light. For it is written, Ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. For verily whosoever asks receives, and him that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh shall it be opened unto him. Excuse me. it has come to my attention that I am studying divine science, nothing at all akin to the quackery of modern psychology, self-help literature, advanced physics, and exoteric religion, but something more than earthly, in art and science as noble as those to whom it was first revealed. And I thence realized that though I'd made a contract with the supposed keepers of this science on earth, meaning those people who claim they can initiate you and all that stuff, I had made no formal contract with the Lord of the secrets. How preposterous to ask the doorman for entry and ignore the castle's master. Basically meaning going up to one of these teachers of the science and trying to learn everything from him without going into your own higher self and asking him to educate you, asking his blessing basically to even have access to this science, asking if you're ready for it, etc. And so I went directly to the Father, heart open and soul clean, but also coming just as I am. No amount of trickery could possibly fool this, the Lord and Creator of the macrocosm and the microcosm. This, who chose me especially for entrance into these mysteries, did he not already know the flaws of my character, the state of my soul? Could he not peer into mine heart and bear witness to its human fallibility and weakness? Inglorious as he is, did he not choose me anyway? Surely the Lord can see further than his creatures, and surely he knows best how to train them into their highest perfection. I knew with certainty that the path of mystery was by no means open to all takers, that some are not evolved enough in their infinite soul journey to understand the light when it comes to them, that others understand some but are thwarted at every turn from ever attaining true power due to the meanness in their heart, and that others still are awaiting the light to be delivered unto them from some noble and worthy source. Indeed, such is the purpose of this treatise. Knowing my state of development, the Lord chose me to reveal his secrets to directly. Not only this, but I was also privileged to be protected from the malicious strains of magic that are not conducive to the great work whatsoever. The Spirit was my guide through my entire experimentation process. But so knowing isn't enough. Knowing that you're blessed does not make you deserving. Knowing you're being guided does nothing to acknowledge the guide. You must choose the blessing and seal it with your holy life blood. You must recognize and respect the guide all the good long days of your life. This choice is the decision to be initiated. The recognition of the Spirit is affirmation of the God within, and the holy life blood is the ink of your pen, sealed and signed, so mote it be. At this point, a reader or a listener who has not so contacted the Father of the mysteries for permission and blessing upon his or her studies is invited to do so. The only authority in this work is from on high, Islam. And I want you to hold that with you. Hold that thought, that last thought. The only authority in this work is from on high. So you're on these tapes. You'll hear a Khalid Bey, or you'll hear a Blackbeard Mirage, or a Bobby Hemmett, or a Panic. All of these gentlemen will tell you that they are not the authority of this mystery. They've been chosen. Their higher self has seen them worthy in this incarnation to receive this high science, and so they have been blessed with it. And they've been blessed with a gift to be able to communicate it to others. And they've done that because that's their goal. I mean, that's their role. Noble Drew Ali said, we're in the preparation stage of our sojourn. So this isn't even the journey. Right now, we're just preparing. So like a lot of these Moors who specialize in certain areas, they might specialize in the esoteric, they might specialize in the finance or specialize in the law. We really need to specialize in all those areas. But whatever your specialty, you're helping with the preparation of the nation. I made it funny. Preparation of the nation. So like, basically the purpose of me reading that short essay, is to remind you, go before your own spirit. Go before that part inside of you, that divine part inside of you that made you even find my tape, that made you even pick up a book on esoteric science, that made you even go into a Moorish science temple or find the name Noble Drew Ali and stuff. Because there's, I would say 43, 46 million Negroes in this country who don't know the name of Noble Drew Ali, who don't know what the word esoteric means, who don't know the difference between spirituality and religion. A lot of confused people. So if you're on this frequency and you're catching this science, that means that there's something inside of you that is actually guiding you to the place where it can educate you and bring itself out to manifest more clearly. So basically, I'm a messenger for your inner self. The words that I'm saying, if they're right, if they resonate, are coming from your own inner self, and it's just reflecting out of somebody else. Does that make sense? Islam. So I'm actually going to end this tape now, and I'm going to finish the essay. The next tape is going to be a continuation, still dealing with the 4 principles, but it's mainly going to be me just reading through the essay. And I hope you get some value out of that, okay? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Islam. Khalid Amin Rabbe. See you in the next tape more.